Greetings, Mavericks and new viewers. Tonight, direct and live from the Maverick News Network World Studios. This is Maverick News with Rick Walker.
Welcome back to the Maverick News Channel, everyone. Great to have you here. Thank you for being here. Big purge of the NSC and the U.S. National Security Council just happening at the end of the day today. So we'll touch on that. And details still emerging. I think this is more than significant. Also, we'll update you on what's going on out at the BC Ostrich farm, where they say another bird has been shot. And there was some sort of an incident involving a neighbor and a car driving erratically, or accusations of that. We'll bring you up to date on that. Trump news, of course. Lots of that going on. And Carney met today with a U.S. delegation. They're talking about tariffs. And then we're going to roll right into our Maverick Midnight Matinee. We'll jump off YouTube because we can't run the film over there, but we will run it over on Rumble. So if you're not watching on Rumble by the end of the program, you'll need to switch over to Rumble in order to continue watching. And tonight's movie is perfect for everything we've been focused on over the past couple of weeks. Tonight's feature, The Giant Claw. Yes, a giant flying dinosaur bird of prey that likes to eat airplanes. And it looks just like, you guessed it, one mean looking prehistoric flying ostrich. So we're gonna run that tonight, and it is so bad that it's good. It's absolutely a cult classic. So stay with me, and you're gonna want to stay right till the end tonight, because tonight's Maverick News installment is not just informative. It won't just be informative. It's going to be entertaining. Stay with me.
Maverick News. Fighting for freedom. Greetings, brave Mavericks. Our quest for truth continues. We go beyond fake news. Together we expose propaganda. Together we pull others out of rabbit holes. We are Maverick thinkers. We are all unique individuals, defenders of individual rights and freedoms, credible, trusted, grounded in reality. Maverick News, defending free speech, Donate at freedomreporters.com. Do it now. Tomorrow may be too late. Maverick News. The world is watching.
So this is breaking news this evening. just breaking just moments ago, the White House has purged the National Security Council. More than 100 National Security Council staffers have been placed on administrative leave. This is a sweeping shakeup. It's being led by Marco Rubio, Secretary of State, and the National Security Advisor, who is also Rubio. So there was an email that was sent out at 4:20 p.m. today from the NSC Chief of Staff. It gave affected personnel 30 minutes to clean out their desks. Off-campus staff were told to schedule pickup and return devices. So this all comes on the heels of this month's firing of former advisor Waltz and some others, and accusations of being disloyal or off message with the Donald Trump administration's America First agenda. So now I guess it looks like the council structure is being completely rebuilt. This is absolutely a purge, and that is, it's pretty becoming increasingly clear that that is also what DOGE is about, not just about government efficiency. It's about cleaning house to leave behind only those who will remain loyal to the commander-in-chief. Get rid of not just your political opponents, but the bureaucratic opponents as well. This is, I would say, unprecedented. And that's why this is so significant tonight. Now, also, this feud between Trump and Harvard continues. Getting some pushback here today, though. I'll bring this up for you. This is, I'm just going to show you the NBC feed and main page on this particular story. So a federal judge is now blocked. Is this it here? Yeah. A federal judge has blocked the Trump administration from revoking Harvard University's ability to enroll or keep its international students. I reported on this yesterday for the first time. U.S. District Judge Allison D. Burroughs granted the temporary restraining order after the Department of Homeland Security on Thursday terminated the university's international student certification. The move barred the school from not only admitting international students, but also ordering current foreign-born students to transfer or lose their legal status. Again, this appears to be highly political. Under this order, international students can remain enrolled at the school. The next hearing for this case will take place next week. The White House, the Department of Homeland Security, has not immediately responded to this, and Harvard sued Trump today, a day after the federal government said it would block the nation's oldest university and its ability to enroll foreign students. This is also unprecedented, I would say. And we have this clip today from the White House with Trump talking about foreign students. I'll bring up the clip. Here he is.
So are some others.
On that note, a lot of CEOs in the United States, big companies, are foreign. What is that going to do?
I'm fine with that. No, I'm fine with that. No, we want to do that. We're actually going to be doing something in the near future that's going to make it possible for people to come into this country and come in and, you know, have a road toward citizenship. And I think it'll be very exciting, but it's too soon to speak.
Why would you not want the best and brightest from around the world to come to Harvard?
I do, but a lot of the people need remedial math. Did you see that? Where the students can't add 2 and 2 and they go to Harvard. They want remedial math, and they're going to teach remedial math at Harvard. Now, wait a minute. So why would they get in? How can somebody that can't add or has very basic skills How do they get into Harvard? Why are they there? And then you see those same people picketing and screaming at the United States and screaming at, they're anti-Semitic or they're something. We don't want troublemakers here. But how do people that can't, when Harvard comes out with a statement that they're going to teach some of their students remedial math, that's basic math, that's not the deal. Okay. And anymore.
Yeah. So this feud is going to ramp up. And yesterday, the justification for this ban on foreign students being enrolled at Harvard was being tied from Trump's statements to accusations of anti-Semitic behavior and Harvard allowing anti-Semitic protests on campus. But it's pretty clear this is also about the university suing Trump and political opposition there. And he's also trying to exert force on them by withholding federal money. So this is an intellectual standoff. It's interesting, when you have authoritarian states, historically, the first places they go after are educational institutions, and historically too, particularly in the cases of communist regimes, they go after the intellectuals. I don't know. It's a lot of this stuff very alarming. Speaking of Harvard, this, viewer discretion advised. Even before I talk about this, didn't mention it yesterday. It's getting more play today. The United States Attorney's Office released this press release involving a court case and the person who used to manage the morgue at Harvard. Here, I'll bring up the media release for you. This is gruesome. I'm just warning you. Okay, if you're squeamish, you might want to plug your ears. Former Harvard morgue manager pleads guilty to trafficking stolen human remains. Can't make this up. The United States Attorney's Office for the Middle District of Pennsylvania announced that Cedric Lodge, 57 years old, of Goffstown, New Hampshire, pled guilty yesterday before Chief United States District Judge Matthew W. Brann to interstate transport of stolen human remains. According to the acting United States Attorney John Gerganis, Lodge admitted that from 2018 through at least March 2020, he participated in the sale and interstate transport of human remains stolen from Harvard Medical School morgue located in Boston, Massachusetts. Lodge, who was then employed as the manager of the Harvard Medical School morgue, removed human remains, including organs, brains, skin, hands, faces, dissected heads, and other parts from donated cadavers after they had been used for research and teaching purposes, but before they could be disposed of, according to the anatomical gift donation agreement between the donor and the school. Lodge took the remains without the knowledge or permission of his employer, the donor, or the donor's family, and transport the remains to his home in New Hampshire. After he and his wife, Denise Lodge, sold the remains, they would ship the remains to the buyers in other states, where the buyer would take possession directly and transport the remains themselves. Remains stolen and sold by Lodge were transported from the morgue in Boston to locations in Salem, Massachusetts, New Hampshire, and Pennsylvania. Lodge admitted to having sold remains to Joshua Taylor and Andrew Insanian, among others. Many of the remains purchased from Lodge were resold for a profit, including to Jeremy Pauley, who previously entered a guilty plea to conspiracy and interstate transportation of stolen human remains. Several other defendants have previously entered guilty pleas in related cases, including Lodge's wife, Denise Lodge, Joshua Taylor, Andrew Insanian, Matthew Lampe, and Angelo Pereira. Lampe was sentenced to 15 months in prison, and Pereira was sentenced to 18 months. Denise Lodge and Joshua Taylor are still awaiting sentencing. Additionally, Candace Chapman Scott, who stole remains from an Arkansas crematorium where she was employed and sold them to Pauley in Pennsylvania, entered a plea of guilty in Arkansas federal court and was sentenced to 15 years in prison. The case was investigated by Federal Bureau of Investigation, the United States Postal Inspection Service, and the East Pennsboro Township Police Department. Assistant U.S. Attorney Allison Martin is prosecuting the case. The maximum penalty under federal law for this offense is 10 years of imprisonment, a term of supervised release following imprisonment, and a fine. A sentence following a finding of guilt is imposed by the judge after consideration of the applicable federal sentencing statutes and the federal sentencing guidelines. And yes, sentencing is pending. Wow. After that, I'm going to take a little break. I need to catch my breath. Yes, I do. Stay with me. More to come.
You know, someone very profoundly once said many years ago that if fascism ever comes to America, it'll come in the name of liberalism.
Well, I think it's time we ask ourselves if we still know the freedoms that were intended for us by the Founding Fathers. If we lose freedom here, there's no place to escape to. This is the last stand on Earth.
The entire world is watching.
Every dictator, every crazy dictator in the world is watching. The world is watching. On TV, the entire world is watching. On social media.
But the entire world is watching, and yes, they are seeing what we have apparently bravely been willing to say that others are thinking.
Stand for freedom. Literally stand for freedom. Let's get this done. The entire world is watching.
We're at war with the most dangerous enemy that has ever faced mankind in his long climb from the swamp to the stars.
Maverick News. Maverick News. Maverick News.
Let me have more control of my own destiny.
The world is watching.
So let's pivot and go west to British Columbia, to that ostrich farm, Universal Ostrich Farm tonight, where we are getting a report that another ostrich has been reportedly shot. Haven't seen video of this. There was talk of an ostrich, a female ostrich, being shot before, a few weeks ago now. Again, no video of that, no images of the bird. We'll have to take their word for it. Now, another incident today. Interestingly, though, this comes as there are a few things that happened out there today. And if you're not, you'd have to have your head in the sand to not know kind of what's going on out in BC, to not have heard of this story. But just in case, the CFIA has ordered that this flock of approximately 400 ostriches be culled because of a bird flu outbreak out there. The farmers are trying to block this. They have protesters out there saying that the birds are healthy. The CFIA, of course, trying to stamp out the spread of bird flu, which is why the cull has been ordered. The farmers have been successful, along with the support of protesters, to delay that cull now by 5 months. 5 months it's being delayed as they fight to try to prevent the cull. They had 69 of these birds in total die from the bird flu out there. CFIA tested. They say that the virus has been present on the farm. And then this has turned into something of a media circus. There's definitely a performative aspect to this theater, political theater for sure. And this is, without question, a political protest as much as anything else. It's evolved into something much more than just a protest to save 400 ostriches. We can get into the politics a little bit more coming up. Now, the other interesting thing is today, there was a video just a short time ago posted with accusations being leveled at a neighbor, suggesting that this person had been driving erratically and almost ran into some vehicles. Police were called or attended, RCMP, and they were out there questioning people, just talking to people who had seen what went on, mostly protesters. For some strange reason now, that video appears, and I can't find it, is the point. I think it must have been taken down. I don't know for sure if it has been or not, but I can't find it now. So it looks like it's been taken down. Can't say why. I can tell you what I did see in that video, and that is protester Jim Kerr, who has been sort of one of the main live streamers out there, was shooting live streaming video of a police officer at the scene who was talking to a man in the back of the cruiser of his police SUV. The man gets out of the SUV. It appears that may be the person who lives next to the farm, and you can see the man walk from the police cruiser after having been in the cruiser and talking to the officer into his home. I don't know if any charges of any kind were laid or if any tickets were handed out. That I don't know. But the man was clearly in the cruiser just talking to police. No handcuffs, no arrests, nothing like that. And then the man just walked down a driveway and into what appeared to be like a lot for a farmhouse. There was a vehicle parked in the driveway. Didn't see any damage to any vehicles, but there were these allegations made by Jim Kerr that someone, he said the neighbor, was driving erratically and almost hit some vehicles. Didn't hit any vehicles, but said that he was within inches. Those were the accusations. And then you could see the police officer talking to another protester and could overhear the conversation. We also heard that police at that point were telling the protesters to stop following people. I don't know exactly what that means or in what context, if that meant they were following a neighbor or neighbors or other people, but they said he told the protesters very clearly, do not follow people, just call us. So I don't know what that means. What else happened in there? Then Katie Pasitny, who speaks for the farm, daughter of Karen Esperson, was there as well. And then she explained what happened with regard to this report where they're saying that another ostrich has been shot, talked about a drone flying overhead overnight, and then a ostrich shot from above is what she indicated in what she was saying in the video. And I don't know. Is it related to the drone? Or they suggest it wasn't clear if she was trying to. She didn't say that the shot came from the drone. She just said that a drone had been flying overhead, and then they said that the shot had been fired, and it was like from above. You can draw your own conclusions. I don't know. They say police are investigating that as well, but then that video is down. So now there's another video that has been posted where this is explained again. And here's Katie talking about this. And so I'll run a little bit of this tonight.
I'm going to try and do this again. We had an incident on the farm. It's being fully investigated right now as of last night. I don't know who leaked information or what happened here, but there's other people that are talking about it. I wanted to come on, obviously, and update you myself. You will always hear the truth and everything from me here at the farm. We will keep everybody posted. It's under investigation. We have had another bird shot last night. We've had a large drone flying over our property, and this is all under full investigation. So please stay with me. please keep praying. Sorry. It was one of our biggest, beautiful... Okay, sorry. Anyway, it was just reconnecting. I'm out right now. This is an official statement from the farm. So just please keep following us for the accurate information. Do not listen to anybody else. You follow me, Katie Pisitny. Jim Kerr is here. He will be doing some information, letting information as well on this out as it unfolds. But we've had a drone flying over at about 1 to 2 in the morning last night, and we have one of our biggest beautiful roosters that has been shot. We're working with RCMP right now. We're doing all of the appropriate things. Just keep, send prayers and love to the farm right now, and the most loving, healing white light over all of our ostriches that are beautiful and healthy and absolutely stunning. See, here's our little girl. Here's that girl. We're here right now, clucking, all happy in the sunshine.
Okay, so that's the explanation, and then of course she spreads the love. And I guess you're not supposed to listen to me or anybody else, only to her or the people from the farm or Jim Kerr, because they're always going to give you the truthful information. They're the only trusted source now, apparently. So I'm sharing the information that they just put out. That's their statement regarding this. We'll see where it goes. Now, the thing is, though, some people have been asking me about contradictory statements even coming from the farm itself. So it is confusing. And of course, people are saying that the birds have been injected. Other people saying the birds haven't been injected with this synthetic, genetically modified COVID antigen in order to induce the production of antibodies in the birds. Well, Jim Kerr, I guess, and I tried to find this and I did find it finally. Some people were saying, you don't know what you're talking about, Rick, because Jim Kerr said that the birds have never been injected with anything. And so I went and I found Jim Kerr saying just that. And here he is.
Designated as a research farm. Now, for those of you, all the rumors, all that kind of crap, get your facts straight, folks. These birds weren't injected with things. That was not the case. They never got injected with things, okay? This is a free-range farm. You've seen it, hundreds of acres, and these...
So he's saying that the birds were never injected with things. And so that's what a lot of people are saying. So I will just give you this. This was my interview with Karen Esperson, one of the co-owners of the farm. And this is what Karen had to say in my interview with her. So you were like, was this an aerosolized thing or was it an injection?
No, it was a needle. We give them a needle. But like I said, and we monitored very much to make sure that the animal was not infected or affected in any sense of the form.
So the government doesn't recognize your science?
No, they won't acknowledge us at all. And we're natural. That's what we are saying. We're offering something that's completely natural.
Did they have concerns about
the government be all over it?
Did they tell you why, or did they not like your protocols, your biosecurity issues, or was it?
No, we've been 100% under quarantine, and we've been following every rule to be very strict. And in the beginning, to protect the public, because we weren't sure what we were dealing with. So we've been very strict with everything. The biggest thing with the government is we believe that this goes beyond just our science. This is to take down all the small farms. And this is where it really hit us. This is more of a movement. It's just not our farm and just not our science, but this has to do with our food sovereignty. This has to do with taking animals out, and they want farmers. They only want if you have 100,000 chickens or more. They want.
Okay, so a few things in there. I checked on that, and as an extension of that, okay, so first of all, just to give you background, the farm was previously a food production facility. So they were farming ostriches and sending them to the slaughterhouses so that they could then be sold for food. That was that, and along with breeding and supplying other farms with ostriches that were bred through selective, genetically selected breeding methods with birds that they were importing from Africa primarily. So it was breeding, supplying other farms with birds, and selling the birds for food and other uses as well, oils and so on. So that was the focus of the farm until the pandemic hit. And then when they couldn't sell the birds for food because they couldn't get them to market because of problems with slaughterhouses and distribution chains, they pivoted to research. And at that point, they started working with this doctor in Dr. Yasuhiro Tsukamoto over in Japan, who has been doing work with these masks embedded with ostrich antibodies that he says will combat COVID. Showed you that his work is being promoted on the World Economic Forum website. So now, even though Karen did acknowledge that they've been working with that doctor, now they're saying that they don't have anything to do with that research. That's what they're saying now. So there's another contradictory statement. So that was going on since 2020. And now we're seeing that the information in the court documents came out, and they've acknowledged in their official statement as of yesterday that when the bird flu outbreak occurred on their farm, they started to see birds die. And then some time went on, and it was an anonymous tip to the Canadian Food Inspection Agency that brought the CFIA to the farm. The farm did not notify the CFIA. It was an anonymous call to the CFIA that alerted the CFIA to the problem with the bird flu outbreak. So the CFIA came out after that, did the testing. The deaths continued for the better part of a month until we got to like 69 of these birds dying over the course of an entire month. And now we're kind of at where we're at because the farm was able to get a stay and then a subsequent court date, and it's dragged on for 5 months. And now the CFIA has been given the green light to go ahead and cull the flock. But now you have this protest out there with all of these people, about 50 or 60 people. And some of the neighbors are not happy about what's going on out there. And there's this clash happening. And these reports of now 2 birds being shot. Haven't seen the bodies of any birds at this point. Maybe they just don't want to show us. And yeah, I would say things are escalating out there. It's turned into something, well, that's getting a lot of attention, not just in Canada, but across the border as well, over in the United States, where they're trying to bring in some key U.S. media influencers and even RFK Jr. to apply pressure on the Canadian government with regard to all of this. Now, I have to show you, though, that while they are saying that these birds are being murdered and using this kind of language, see if I can find this for you. My goodness. Okay. Let me take a break while I get this next thing queued up for you and I continue this. I need to find the right clip. Hang on just a moment.
Greetings, brave Mavericks. Our quest for truth continues. We go beyond fake news. Together we expose propaganda. Together we pull others out of rabbit holes. We are maverick thinkers. We are all unique individuals, defenders of individual rights and freedoms, credible, trusted, grounded in reality. Maverick News, Maverick News. Defending free speech, free speech. Donate at freedomreporters.com. Do it now. Tomorrow may be too late. Maverick News. The world is watching. Maverick News. The world is watching.
Sorry, folks, I've lost my streams. I do apologize. Let's just move on. I'm tired of talking about the story, honestly. But I'll come back to it later when I am able to find my notes on it. Let's move on to these ridings that have flipped to the conservatives. Interesting how the narrative changes. So this Newfoundland riding is now flipped to the conservatives after this judicial recount. Of course, all these people were freaking out after the federal election. You had these recounts happening and allegations that it's all rigged so that the Liberals can basically overturn these election results in various ridings to then get a majority government. But it's kind of gone the other way. Now, as you can see, federal election, Newfoundland riding flips to conservatives after judicial recount. This is in St. John's. And it flipped to the conservatives today, netting the party another seat in the House of Commons. After a recount process that took nearly 2 weeks, Elections Canada announced that Conservative Jonathan Rowe has defeated Liberal Anthony Germain in the Terra Nova, the Peninsulas, riding by just 12 votes. And this reverses the first tally of the ballots after the April 20th election, in which had Germain ahead by 12 votes. Rowe's win gives the Conservatives 144 seats in the House of Commons and brings the Liberals down to 169, which is 3 seats shy of the threshold for a majority government. The Bloc Québécois has 22, the NDP has 7, and the Green Party has 1. And then shortly after today's results were announced, Rowe thanked his supporters and campaign team. And so it looks now like even with these recounts, a Liberal majority is out of reach. So Carney will still be faced with the task of governing with a minority government, which is always a challenge because it requires deal-making, compromise in order to keep Parliament stitched together, and for the Prime Minister to continue to command the confidence of the House so that there isn't another election. Here's a little clip about this on CBC.
Mark Cargasol joins me now with more. So what is the result in Terra Nova, the peninsulas?
Andrew, we've got a flip. For a while now, it seemed, and on election night, it seemed as though the Liberals had won the riding of Terra Nova, the peninsulas, but within the last half hour, the results came down from the recount, and Elections Canada has announced that Conservative Jonathan Rowe is the new MP in that riding. So constituents of that riding, meet your new MP, Jonathan Rowe. The interesting thing here is that on election day, Liberal candidate Anthony Germain won the riding by a total of 12 votes, which triggered the re-election because it falls within the threshold of needing a recount, because it was so close. And now, today, they have announced that Jonathan Rowe has actually beaten Anthony Germain by 12 votes. So 12 votes either way, but it looks as though the Conservatives are now running things in that riding. That, again, just coming down a short while ago. Now, this is a recount that was scheduled to only take about 2-3 days. Took close to 2 weeks, Andrew. There were several delays. There were a lot of seemingly spoiled ballots, or at least ballots that were rendered invalid. Those ballots, if you can make out who they're trying to vote for, if both parties agree to it, they can be counted in a recount. And so that had to be the case. There was over 1,000 of those. There was also delays in the town of Marystown, Newfoundland. There were water shutoff issues there, and that sort of delayed things for a little bit too. But as far as we know, the recount is done. Elections Canada confirms Jonathan Rowe is the new MP in the Newfoundland riding of Terra Nova, the peninsulas. We got another result earlier this morning in the Ontario riding of Windsor-Tecumseh Lakeshore. That one just confirming the win that we already knew. Conservative Kathy Borelli has now been confirmed as the winner in that riding. The recount started Tuesday, wrapped up earlier today. New results show a slimmer win for Borelli, but still a win over Liberal incumbent Eric Kuzmierczuk. Borelli.
Okay, so I don't hear as much complaining about the recounts here tonight from the Conservative side. I hear some sighs of relief out there. Hang on, I'm just going to take another quick break. I've got those notes queued up and I'm ready to go, and I'll get to that when we get back on the other side of this.
Maverick News. The world is watching.
Okay, so back to this ostrich story. It's a war. It's an information war out there as much as anything else, and it's all in part highlighting an ongoing struggle. Not, you might think it's just about small family. The way it's being portrayed is it's like small family farms versus big corporate agribusiness tied into government, and how, and you heard Katie saying that this is because they want to wipe out small farming operations, but it isn't just small farming operations in question here. This is really more about a specific kind of farming. It's about or people who don't want to follow rules. Is what it comes down to. They want to farm their way. They don't want as very much government oversight. They don't. They just kind of want to do things their own way. Is really what it kind of comes down to. The because they don't believe in things like pasteurized milk. They don't believe in a lot of the current science. They want their own science. It's, where they're saying that they're providing like a natural thing here, and yet they're injecting the birds with something that is clearly not natural. A synthetic, genetically engineered COVID antigen pseudovirus. Those are the words from the doctor over in Japan that, developed this, that they were injecting into these birds. I'm not making it up. I've shown you, they've said it. It's their language. This is what have been doing. And now they're trying to portray these birds as pets and their livestock. They're saying they're making them out to be people and using phrases like they're murdering the birds. And when the people come to cull the herd, they will be contract killers coming in to murder the birds. Well, that is not an accurate depiction at all. And birds do not have rights. Birds are not murdered. It's not an accurate depiction, legally or even technically. And if they are put down, and it appears they will be, the CFIA will be using people who are tasked with doing it in a humane way, not murdering them. The language used by these protesters is emotionally charged and legally not accurate. The term murder specifically applies, and I'm just highlighting this because words are important. And the way they're handling this, you need to be very, very aware that the words are intended to manipulate you. The term murder specifically applies to the unlawful killing of a human being with intent, as defined in legal frameworks like the Criminal Code of Canada. Animals, including birds, cannot be murdered in a legal sense because they are not afforded the same legal status as human beings. Using murder in this context is a rhetorical device to express strong opposition or emotional distress, but it is not accurate in a legal or technical sense. If a bird was shot, it might be described as killed or destroyed, depending on the context, whether it was done legally or illegally, without specific evidence about the incident, such as who shot the bird and under what circumstances. It's unclear whether the act was unlawful or part of somebody shot this bird allegedly last night from above, from a drone. No body. I haven't seen any. I don't know. Whatever it was, technically, even if it was shot illegally, it was killed, not murdered. And if the CFIA comes in and they have people cull the herd, those birds will not be murdered. They will be euthanized. And when chickens go to the slaughterhouses then they can be processed and then sent off to Kentucky Fried Chicken, where they can be fried so you can eat them, they are not murdered. The CFIA is ordered to cull approximately, 400 birds out there? As part of a regulatory response to a potential spread of avian influenza, bird flu. It's a big risk, and culling is a standard practice in agriculture to prevent the spread of contagious diseases that could devastate livestock populations or pose public health risks to human beings, because the disease can spread to people and has, and people have died from it. And we don't want another pandemic, which is why the government takes these steps, not just in Canada, but even in the United States, even now, even with the Trump administration in place. The CFIA, as a federal agency, has the authority to order such measures under Canadian law, specifically the Health of Animals Act, when there is evidence of suspicion of disease. And after the anonymous tip brought CFIA to the farm, tests were done. Not just a swab, not just an on-site quickie PCR test. Samples were sent to a lab, and then after the results came back and confirmed the presence of the disease, along with 69 dead birds over the course of an entire month, a month of death on the farm, they ordered the cull. 5 months later, we're now dealing with this out at the farm. And describing the people coming in to perform the cull as contract killers is hyperbolic and misleading. It's not an accurate characterization. The term contract killers implies hired individuals committing premeditated, illegal human killings, which does not apply to government-authorized culling of animals by trained personnel or contractors following regulatory protocols. The culling is a legal process, not a criminal act, even if it is controversial or distressing to the farm owners and protesters. And trying to dehumanize the people who are hired to come in to do this is not fair, and it is, because it's emotionally charged, it also unfairly and in an unwarranted manner, I think, creates a heightened sense of friction between the protesters. It gets them into a certain state of mind that is dangerous. And we've seen rhetoric online referring to these incoming CFIA contractors, but not contract killers, describing them as being people who don't deserve to be treated as human beings. And that is really dangerous. I really take exception to the use of these words, and that's me editorializing. It's inflammatory. The protesters' use of murdered and murdered by contract killers is not accurate in a legal or technical sense, as these terms do not apply to the killing of animals, especially under government-ordered culls. They are rhetorical expressions of opposition to the CFIA's culling order at Universal Ostrich Farm. And while the culling may be controversial, particularly if the birds show no signs of illness, it is a legally authorized action, not a criminal one. And the protesters' language aims to highlight their distress and rally support and donations, but does not reflect the legal or procedural reality of the situation. And they have, their social media top guns out there doing their best to get this thing jacked up. Here's Mr. Sunshine Baby using much of this same language and giving us an assessment on the situation involving the CFIA that I would say is not accurate, but does echo what the farm owners have been saying.
CFIA has a very outdated policy. And just to kind of put it all in a nutshell, in a short form content here, it's that any farm in Canada that is free range, which means you got a fenced in area for birds to run around, or cows or sheep or whatever it is, CFIA policy doesn't want that to exist anymore, because it can be contaminated by migratory birds like geese and duck. So the CFIA policy moving forward wants all farms, even though these aren't meat farms, all farms in Canada to be fully enclosed. So cows, chickens, ostriches, the whole shebang, to be 100% fully enclosed. And that's kind of weird, and that seems to be the reason that's motivating a lot of people to show up, is to watch ostriches run across the field like it's prehistoric Jurassic Park. Anyways, hope that was somewhat informative.
Yeah, that's not accurate. So I checked, and no such policy exists. The CFIA is concerned about biosecurity. They are concerned about birds and animals being infected with viruses and illnesses from wildlife. So they do have recommendations in place for biosecurity and regulations in some cases, but they do not have a policy trying to eliminate or eradicate free-range farms. They do not have a policy at all in place to eliminate open air facilities. However, if you're running a biolab, yeah, then other protocols and regulations kick in. And if you're injecting birds with genetically engineered synthetic COVID antigens described by the guy who created them using digital data as a pseudovirus over in Japan, then yeah, there are regulations you're supposed to be following with regard to biosecurity. And yes, these birds are open air. And so they are speculating, they're thinking that these birds became infected with bird flu because of a migratory duck. That's the theory. No proof. I don't know. I don't think anybody really knows how the virus got onto the farm, but it did. And this poses a big risk. And if it can get in, it can also get out if they're in an open air facility and if they've been injected repeatedly and repeatedly and repeatedly. And we know that they have been, because we know it's been going on since at least 2020. And then we have these court documents. And while they're telling people to send, come on down to the bird farm, the ostrich farm for Ostrich Fest, I think it's important to maybe take a closer look and get all the information. So for instance, here, you can see from these documents that the family, this is in the Western Standard, and just look at the information, like really look at it. So the farm owners pointed to work with ostrich antibodies, a field she believes holds promise for combating diseases like COVID-19, MRSA, and even Ebola. Now, this post here also raises other questions about what is really going on here. COVID, MRSA, Ebola, level 4 biolab security requirements, possibly. I was looking this up, and just to do the injections, like I suggested the other day, the information I found, and this is a question, at least a biosecurity lab level 2. And in this case, this is being suggested that maybe a biosecurity lab level 4 would be required. That's extremely high biosecurity level. So below that, her family has also just revealed that they tested positive for H5N1 antibodies after exposure to their flock. Now we're hearing in this document, or seeing, that even though the family didn't appear to show any illness or any ill effects, but because I guess tests were done according to these documents, and the family confirmed to have become exposed to the bird flu, and they have been producing antibodies themselves related to the bird flu H5N1. But we don't know exactly when. That means they've been exposed to this virus. Nobody hospitalized there, nobody sick, she said, when challenging the narrative of the deadly threat. Goes on here in this article. She says she emphasized the importance of natural immunity. And then this question over here, if the farm owners are so confident in natural immunity for COVID, what was their business model? And I should say these questions are not from the Western Standard. This is from an online social media post, which is raising valid questions. These are valid questions. If the farm owners are so confident in natural immunity for COVID, what was their business model for COVID experimentation and the COVID masks and nasal sprays they were working on, which Karen did acknowledge. She emphasized here the importance of natural immunity, advocating for antibody research her farm is pioneering alongside a Japanese scientist, Dr. Yasuhiro Tsukamoto, which she talked about in my interview with her. Fine. A lot of people applauding that, promoted on the World Economic Forum website, specifically talking about this Dr. Yasuhiro Tsukamoto on the WEF website. She acknowledged she's working with them. Now we're hearing them backtrack, say, no, our work didn't have anything to do with the masks, didn't have anything to do with the World Economic Forum. All of that was done over in Japan, yet she said that they are working with Dr. Tsukamoto. And then here's my next question. If they're not working, if their work at the farm isn't related to what was going on in Japan, as you had previously indicated, then what research were you doing on the farm? Why were you injecting the birds with this antigen? And if your research isn't related to what was going on in Japan, then where are the studies that are connected to the work you've been doing on the farm? What work have you been doing? What studies have been done? What is the research that's actually being conducted on site or off site? Or what exactly is it that was done then? Because we were talking about masks. She talked about the mask research. She talked about the COVID research. But now it's not related to that. So what work was done then? This is contradictory to me. It doesn't make sense. So it goes on here in the article, and she says, we're repeating a cycle. We're repeating the COVID-19 times. She had referring to the scientists' widespread long-held denial that there was such a thing as natural immunity for the COVID-19 virus. CFIA's approach, Pisitny argued, is rooted in fear-mongering rather than facts. Every time I dig into this, I find another layer of stuff that just alarms me, worries me, and questions, and a lot more questions than answers. And I don't see much natural about this. And I do see a big political thing going on out there, but it frankly, everything going on out there scares me. I'll be right back.
Greetings, brave Mavericks. Our quest for truth continues. We go beyond fake news. Together we expose propaganda. Together we pull others out of rabbit holes. We are maverick thinkers. We are all unique individuals, defenders of individual rights and freedoms, credible, trusted, grounded in reality. Maverick News, Maverick News. Defending free speech, Donate at freedomreporters.com. Do it now. Tomorrow, maybe too late. Maverick News. The world is watching.
Yeah, and I get really worried when people say, don't listen to anybody else, only listen to me. I get really worried when I hear that. Moving on. When people say that, then I start to dig. Maybe people should dig a little deeper into what Donald Trump is doing too, and especially with his meme coins. A couple of things related to that. Here, first of all, let me get you this. I pulled this earlier today. He had this big crypto dinner for the well-heeled. And if you're rich, seems you can get away with anything right now. If you can, as long as you're helping Donald Trump. Here we go. So we've got Trump gave a gold watch to Justin Sin, a Chinese foreign national. Now, he was being investigated by the Securities and Exchange Commission for fraud. But now, after investing $75 million into Trump's crypto company, he got special VIP access to Trump's dinner last night, where he was given how much is this watch worth? You got a special gold watch. I don't know what the value is, but a special gold Trump watch here. Just, wow. It's one way to get, the whole thing just stinks to high heaven. My God. Here, look at this. I'm going to just take the audio down. But here he is. So he gets this watch. Yay! So he buys all this Trump meme coin stuff, gets this gold watch, gets to go to the dinner last night. And it seems like, the investigation is all forgiven, all forgotten. Now, he's not the only one. It's a club and we ain't in it. Let's take a look at this. Where'd it go? I lost it. It's there. I just can't find it on the screen. I have to find it. There we go. Okay, I've got it. Let's get this down. Get that down. Get that down. All right. So who attended Trump's crypto dinner? Photos and social media offer some clues. This is NBC. For weeks, President Donald Trump's meme coin project pushed a promotion. Top holders of the crypto asset would get to attend this exclusive dinner last night with the president. And even more, a select group of people would get to meet the president and receive a VIP tour. More than 200 people heeded the call, putting up an average of $1.8 million each to buy the Trump coin. But it was unknown who the vast majority of the invitees were, and the White House wouldn't say, leaving the 44-character identification numbers or aliases tied to their crypto wallets as the only public information about their identities. But through their attendance at the dinner, NBC News has been able to identify more than a dozen previously unknown Trump coin power players or individuals who were gifted tickets for them, ranging from celebrities and crypto executives to people from across the world. Some of the people identified by NBC are from outside the U.S., though their current nationalities could not be determined. The event was a spectacle. Luxury cars snaked their way into Trump's Northern Virginia golf club as protesters lined the streets. Denouncing the event, as an unethical way for a president to make money or allow others to potentially influence him through the purchase of his meme coin. Yeah, give me money for my digital meme coin. Some of the 220 attendees traveled long distances to be there, according to Austin-based Michelle Bristinsky, who attended with her husband, Dennis Bristinsky, and her brother, Jack Tietz. Quote, the crowd felt like a mix of company representatives, crypto enthusiasts, influencers, and some celebrities, which was also pretty cool, Brzezinski wrote in an Instagram direct message talking about meeting Lamar Odom, referring to the former NBA star. Mostly men, I think, I was one of maybe 5 women there. She wrote, felt like 50-50 of people from the States compared to those from other countries. We met people from China, the Philippines, Dubai, Korea, etc. That is one expensive dinner, isn't it? And this event has been widely criticized ever since its announcement. Yeah, it has been. I've been listening to pretty knowledgeable people about this, with government ethics experts and Democratic politicians decrying it as an extreme breach of presidential norms. Yeah, some Republican lawmakers also said the event made them uncomfortable. And while the emoluments clause of the Constitution gives Congress the power to limit the president from profiting off his position through foreign gifts, Trump's broad embrace of crypto and many other businesses has gone far beyond what any previous president has done while in office. Yeah. Wow. He sets up his own digital currency, and then says, that the biggest donors to my meme coin will get to come and have dinner at the White House. And you'll even get gold watches and gifts. And what else are they getting? What other favors maybe are they getting? Do you think that Donald Trump is influenced in any way by people pumping millions of dollars? My understanding is his meme coin now has made him billions of dollars. As for the meme coin, which launched in January, Trump's interests are not entirely clear, while the website for the contest claims that Trump is appearing at the dinner as a guest and not soliciting any funds for it. It also says that 80% of the Trump Coin project is owned by 2 Trump-affiliated companies, CIC Digital and Fight LLC, but he doesn't have anything to do with that. The coin's creators receive a transaction fee every time someone buys or sells the coin. Man, you're essentially allowing people who want to integrate themselves, it says here, to put money directly into the president's pocket with people who are American citizens and permanent residents and foreign nationals, said Dan Weiner, the director of the Elections and Government Program at the Brennan Center for Justice ahead of Thursday's event. And that flies in the face of all the norms we have built up around public service. It's why every other president in recent memory voluntarily, divested from any assets that might pose a conflict of interest. I mean, this is just so blatant. And then everybody's worried about Mark Carney, who, no, this guy's the king. He is the king. He says he wants to be a king. He's absolutely the king of grift and corruption, Donald Trump. And Justin Sin, that's just one example. Michelle Brzezinski arrives at the Trump National Golf Club in Sterling, Virginia on Thursday. These people have invested millions in this digital coin. Won't they be surprised or disappointed if it goes to zero at some point, like when he leaves office? Here's the website that was used to promote this. And I don't know how you can say you're not involved in this thing when you clearly are. Let me get you this up on the screen. That's not it. This just blows my mind. Here we go. Okay. Look at this. Important update. If you're one of top 220 Trump coin holders, check your email and spam and your phone for the official invite and details. Look for our email from Get Trump Memes to complete your required security check. You must submit the security form by Friday, May 15th by 1 p.m. because the dinner was last night, or you will not be permitted entry into the dinner. If you don't see it in your inbox, please check your spam folder. We'll also be calling you. Please respond immediately with the required security information in order to confirm your dinner invitation. Here's the website. Have dinner with President Trump. He looks much younger and slimmer in this artistic depiction of him having dinner in Washington, D.C. The most exclusive invitation in the world, only for the top 220 Trump meme coin holders. Register now. I can't afford it. Sorry. Join President Donald J. Trump at his private members-only club in Washington, D.C. for dinner. This seems like just only 220 top Trump holders will be invited. Will you be having dinner with President Trump? No, I can't afford it. A gala dinner. These millions of dollars to do this. And this looks like the kind of thing I get in emails all the time where they're trying to sell me like junky software. There's some pyramid scheme thing. Honestly, this is exactly this kind of website that or landing page that it takes you to when you click on these things. And that's what this looks like, feels like to me. I don't know. But some people, they've done it. I don't know what else to tell you. And these crickets, I didn't get to this the other night. This cricket story. Yeah, this Aspire Foods in London, Ontario, my hometown. They've taken another step toward bankruptcy. I bring this up because this is sort of especially after the pandemic, you saw governments around the world devote or open the floodgates to funding for things like COVID research, right? And so government programs like that, they just attract businesses that, it's opportunity. So it can be legitimate, but sometimes I think that the stuff is just abused and people use them as sort of get rich quick schemes. And they'll just fill out applications, and it's supposed to spur innovation. I think it largely sometimes spurs corruption. I can't say for sure if this is corrupt or not, but the whole idea of trying to get people to eat crickets just seems crazy to me. I think it always has been crazy. And now, of course, the company in London that received all this government money to get set up to produce crickets is on the verge of bankruptcy. And it's getting more and more media attention. Now trade journals, agriculture trade journals, food processing industry, food retailing publications picking up on this in the last few days again. Now this actually, a lot of this information really kind of goes back to the middle of the month with Aspire Foods owing reportedly $41.5 million been placed into receivership, which brings it another step toward bankruptcy. Still employs about 50 people, still running, but they're trying to find a buyer or new financing, according to local business spokespeople. And they're blaming the failure of this facility, massive factory, on their approach to marketing, where they say they shouldn't have really been marketing this stuff toward humans for human consumption. They should have been focusing on the pet food market. I wouldn't even feed those crickets to my dog. I would not. If I knew that any of this stuff was in dog food, I would not feed it to my dog. My dog does, he will eat bugs, but not it wouldn't be his first choice. And I certainly don't want to eat bugs, but it just smacks to me of like government programs like this in general. You set these things up, you find some justification, even if it's like the World Economic Forum, where they talk about, you will eat the bugs and be happy. And then they write up something, put it on their website, whether it's something to do with masks, right? Or bugs. Humans should eat bugs. Now you have this manufactured justification for moving ahead with like a program. And then the politicians can say, well, look, we went to this think tank, and that's what these places are for. Sometimes they do good things, but sometimes they have bad ideas, and then governments use them to set up programs that are just really bad ideas, or maybe ideas that become vehicles for people to cash in. And so to me, this whole thing just smacks of that. Now, I'm not saying anything illegal was done, because I think that's the beauty of these things, is that you can set these things up. They're not viable. You can pump millions of dollars in tax money into these things. Some people can get rich quick because you set up corporations or limited liability companies. When they go bust, there's limited liability or no liability at all on behalf of the people who sort of get involved, or they're able to sell portions of it off or distance themselves from the liability. And I don't know, I think that what's going to happen now is you're going to get freedom of information requests on this, and it's going to come back and bite the liberals on the butt, I think, because I'm seeing some FOIs filed already as a result of this bankruptcy. So keep your eye on the cricket story, and I will too, and maybe we'll file our own FOI. I don't know, to find out what really has been going on with the financing and the government grants going into this facility, and where the money has all gone. Something doesn't smell right with this one. So, and I don't think it's all just, well, enough said about the masks and the ostriches tonight. But don't go away, because we've got the claw coming up. A giant flying prehistoric ostrich-style dinosaur bird thing that likes to eat airplanes. You're going to love it. It's probably the best movie we have run yet on Maverick Midnight Matinee, and that's coming up pretty soon, maybe even after this.
Greetings, brave Mavericks. Our quest for truth continues. We go beyond fake news. Together we expose propaganda. Together we pull others out of rabbit holes. We are maverick thinkers. We are all unique individuals, defenders of individual rights and freedoms, credible, trusted, grounded in reality. Maverick News, Maverick News. Defending free speech, free speech. Donate at freedomreporters.com. Do it now. Tomorrow may be too late. Maverick News. The world is watching.
Okay, so normally we wait until like 10 o'clock to run Maverick Midnight Matinee, but tonight we're just going to roll right into the movie. And I think we're going to do that now, because we're just kind of at the point where sometimes I sign off and then come back at maybe 9. But no, what we're going to do is we're going to go into the film. Now, if you're watching over on YouTube, you're going to have to go over to Rumble. our Rumble channel. And the chats are not functional on the YouTube channels, so I can't post the link if you're watching on YouTube. But you can just go over there, and we are at Maverick News Freedom Reporters. That's the main channel. So you can find us there. I encourage you to go join us. And we'll take a little break, come back. I'm going to run the intro, and then we're going to get into watching The Claw on Maverick Midnight Matinee. Stay with me.
Maverick News. The world is watching.
Okay, everybody, are you ready? I am the giant claw with the scariest flying ostrich prehistoric dinosaur bird thing ever. Let me get the opener set up here. Are you ready? Okay. Let's rock and roll. Here we go. Maverick Midnight Matinee coming at you. Okay, and again, if you're watching on YouTube, you have to leave now and join us on Rumble or one of our other alternative platforms, but Rumble being the main one, because we can't run this over on YouTube, which is okay, because we're going to do it here. The giant claw. Now, I need to end the stream on YouTube, so we're leaving you now. Just another call out to you. Go over to YouTube if you want to watch us tonight on, if you want to watch the giant claw with us on Maverick Midnight Matinee. Okay, so goodbye, YouTube. Signing off now on the main channel. And we're done there, and we're going over to the other channel. And yes, we're going to sign off here as well. So Rumble or nothing, folks. Rumble or nothing. Okay, see you over on Rumble. Come on over, YouTube viewers. And we're done there too. And back here.